In a run-down cold apartment, a black single mother quietly counted the stack of overdue bills. She opened her wallet and froze. Only $6 left, just enough to buy her daughter breakfast for the day. But one night on her way home from work, she stopped at a gas station and saw a massive Hells Angels biker struggling to breathe before collapsing to the ground. People stood around whispering, but no one dared to help the biker. Sophia was different. She spent her last $6 to save his life, then immediately regretted it, realizing she just spent her daughter's food money. But the next day, 120 bikers lined up outside her door and her life changed forever. Before we go back, let us know where you're watching from. And subscribe because tomorrow I've got something extra special for you. Sophia Clark stands under the dim, flickering neon of the gas station, squinting at the $6 in her hand. $6. Just $6. It's her last money, the only thing she has for Maya's breakfast tomorrow, and she can feel the weight of it pressing against her palm like a warning. The night is cold, sharper than usual, and the air smells faintly of gasoline and wet asphalt. Then she hears it. A thump. A scrape of metal. Her heart jumps. She spins around. On the asphalt, a man lies sprawled, his helmet tipped to the side, a hand pressed against his chest. His leather jacket is torn at the sleeve, revealing tattoos that twist around his arms like coiled snakes. His face is pale. His breathing is ragged, uneven. Sophia's stomach tightens. He's having a heart attack. "Don't get involved," yells the gas station attendant from the doorway, a wiry man with grease-stained overalls. "Those guys are nothing but trouble. You could get yourself hurt." Sophia looks at the man again, then at the crumpled bills in her hand. Her worn shoes, toes patched with duct tape, feel heavier than usual. Her cabinets at home are nearly empty. Her daughter's lunch bag, left on the counter, is bare. She has a choice: walk away or act. And she knows, deep down, walking away isn't an option. She kneels beside him, pressing the first few aspirin she bought with trembling hands to his lips, handing him water, watching him swallow. "I can't let him die here. Not like this. Not on my watch. Let me take you back a little, to the morning before this moment, before the night stretched out with danger and moral weight." Sophia wakes to Maya tugging gently at her arm. "Mom, breakfast?" The little girl's voice is soft, sleepy, and hopeful. Sophia sits on the edge of the bed, counting the bills she has left. $6. 2 eggs and a slice of bread might stretch it. Maybe she can stretch it. She checks her laundromat paycheck envelope. Empty. Again. Her apartment smells faintly of mildew. A faint drip from the faucet in the kitchen keeps time with her heartbeat. There's a crack in the ceiling above the table, a leftover souvenir from last winter's snowstorm. Sophia shakes her head and rubs Maya's hair back, remembering when she was just 8 years old and handed her mother's last $5 to a neighbor who had no food. Her mother scolded her. She remembers that scolding clearly, but also remembers the look of gratitude on that neighbor's face. Help, no matter the cost. That's always been her rule. That's the only rule she's never broken. Now, years later, with Maya's small hands reaching for her in trust and a life of bills, rent, and tips barely covering anything, Sophia is faced with the hardest decision of her life. She's worked 2 jobs, $11 an hour at the laundromat, tips at the diner, just enough to keep a roof over their heads, barely enough to keep the fridge from emptying entirely. And yet here she is, staring down a man on the asphalt whose tattoos and leather jacket scream danger to anyone else. She glances again at her $6. She glances at her little girl, counting on her tomorrow morning. She glances at the man, the biker, who looks more like a monster than a person at this moment. And then she thinks, this is bigger than fear. Bigger than money. Bigger than me. Sophia's heart pounds. Her hands shake. She buys the aspirin and a bottle of water, all that $6 can cover. Kneeling beside him, she watches his chest rise and fall. Slowly. Carefully. She stays with him until the color returns to his face, until the panic in his eyes softens into comprehension. She doesn't know his name yet. Doesn't know anything about him, except that he's alive because of her choice. And at that moment, Sophia has no idea that this single act, spending her last $6, will change everything. The world she knows, the neighborhood she calls home, the very life of her little girl, is about to be transformed in ways she cannot yet imagine. Because just past 11 p.m., under the cold neon of a lonely gas station, a single choice is made. A choice that will ripple outward, touching hundreds of lives. But first, there is the hardest part, walking home, empty-handed, knowing she spent the last of her money to save a stranger. Sophia's steps are slow, deliberate, crunching over the gravel as she leaves the station. The night air bites at her face. Her mind is a swirl of doubt. Did I do the right thing? Could I have saved her breakfast instead? Each step toward home is heavy with what-ifs, and yet, somehow, she feels lighter. Because despite everything, she knows she did what she had to do. When she finally opens the door to her small apartment, the silence greets her. Maya is asleep on the couch, clutching her favorite stuffed rabbit. The cabinets are still bare. The bills are still unpaid. The problems haven't vanished. But Sophia smiles through exhaustion and worry, knowing that for tonight, she chose life over fear, kindness over self-preservation. And she has no idea that the next morning, everything, the judgment, the revelation, the arrival of 100 motorcycles, will come crashing into her world. Sophia stands over the man, Rambo, she'll learn his name later, her hands still trembling from the adrenaline, her heart still hammering from the fear and the moral weight of the choice she's just made. The air smells faintly of gas and asphalt, and her skin feels sticky from the bottle of water she used to help him swallow the aspirin. She can't help but notice the details, the scars along his hands, the chains hanging from his neck, the oil-stained boots, the massive tattoos winding across his arms like stories etched in ink. Most people would have looked at him and seen danger. The leather jacket, the chain-smoking attitude, the muscles coiled like a predator, they screamed trouble. The gas station attendant's warning still echoes in her ears, those guys are nothing but trouble. Stay away. And then a trucker, idling nearby in a rusty rig, leans out the window and adds his voice, sharp and loud, "Lady, don't do it. You think these bikers care about a good deed? They'll remember who helped M. And it won't be pretty." Sophia swallows hard. She thinks of Maya, curled up in their tiny apartment, probably dreaming of pancakes and syrup. She thinks of the hole in her shoes, the empty cabinets, the bills stacked neatly on the counter like silent judges. I don't have much. I have nothing left after this $6. And yet, I can't walk away. She kneels closer, steadying his shaking hands. She watches the panic in his eyes, the labored breaths, the color draining from his face. Hold on, she says, almost whispering. Just, hold on. I've got you. He wheezes something that might be a thank you. Might just be a gasp. She doesn't know. It doesn't matter. She opens her wallet. $6. That's all she has. $6 for aspirin, $6 for water, $6 that should have been breakfast for her daughter. And yet, she hands it over. She pays, fumbling at the register, counting every coin, feeling each cent slip away like a heartbeat. Then she kneels beside him, holding his hand, feeling the roughness of his skin, the tremble beneath his fingers. And she waits. Minutes stretch out. Her legs ache from kneeling. Her palms sweat. Her stomach growls. Every instinct in her screams that she's reckless, foolish, insane. And yet, I couldn't have done anything else. After a long moment, his breathing steadies just enough for him to sit up with her help. Sophia leans back, exhausted, wiping the sweat from her forehead. She watches him take shaky gulps of water, watch him rub his chest. He's alive. That's what matters. But as she starts to step away, a young man approaches from the side, observing silently. He looks familiar somehow, like someone who notices everything without saying a word. He hands her a small card, just a simple business card. For your trouble, he says softly. In case you ever need anything. There's no judgment in his eyes, only gratitude. Sophia takes it, confused, unsure what it means. She starts walking home, the gravel crunching beneath her tired shoes. Every step is heavy with uncertainty. She questions herself. Did I make the right choice? Did I just throw away the last thing I had? The moral imperative had won, yes, but the practical consequences now press down like a storm. The city is quiet, the night swallowing her footsteps. When she finally arrives home, the apartment is still. Maya's stuffed rabbit lies on the couch, her small chest rising and falling in sleep. Sophia leans against the doorframe and exhales, feeling the tension drain from her body in a long shudder. The cabinets are still bare. The bills are still unpaid. Her shoes are still patched, her pockets still empty. Everything is the same, except, there is a quiet satisfaction that she made a choice she can live with. But here's the thing, choices like this rarely stay small. Because the next morning, whispers start. Mrs. Caterine, the neighbor with a sharp tongue and sharper judgment, stops by the door before sunrise. Sophia. I heard what you did, she says, shaking her head. Her hair is a silver halo in the dim morning light. Those men, hell's angels, they're dangerous. You could have been hurt. Do you understand? Hurt. And for what? $6? Sophia swallows. I had to help him, she says softly. Mrs. Caterine frowns. That's not helping. That's reckless. People around here, they talk. They worry. You've got a child to think about. I've seen what those bikers are capable of. Even Mr. Rodriguez, whose cousin had some dealings with bikers in the past, offers a cautionary nod later that morning. Sophia. I know you meant well, but sometimes kindness isn't enough. Sometimes it's dangerous. Her heart sinks. The moral victory she felt the night before is already being weighed against fear, prejudice, and community judgment. Sophia feels the isolation pressing down. She's on her own in her convictions, a tiny figure standing against a storm of opinions, warnings, and doubt. And yet, she holds the card in her hand, the one given by the young man at the gas station. It's a small thing, but it hums with potential. She doesn't know why. She only knows that she did what she had to do. She did what her instincts, her values, her upbringing demanded of her. Hours later, walking back from the diner after a double shift, her mind drifts to the biker, the massive man she saved. Who is he really? Why was he out alone at this hour? She doesn't know. But she can't shake the feeling that something bigger is unfolding, something that stretches far beyond this $6 act, far beyond the asphalt at the gas station, far beyond the fear that clouds her neighborhood. The street is quiet. The early morning light barely touches the edges of the cracked sidewalks. And Sophia walks on, exhausted, worried, and quietly proud. She has no idea that the small choice she made, using her last $6 to save a stranger, will set in motion a series of events that will upend her world, challenge her community, and ultimately change the lives of hundreds. For now, all she knows is that she chose kindness, even at her own cost. She chose humanity over self-preservation. And sometimes, that's all it takes for the universe to notice. Little does she know, the next steps, 120 motorcycles, a stunned neighborhood, a revelation about a non-profit that has helped thousands, are already on the horizon. And Sophia Clark, the single mother with worn shoes, empty cabinets, and a heart bigger than her wallet, is at the center of it all. The morning sunlight creeps through the blinds of Sophia's apartment, but it brings little warmth. The world outside seems heavier than usual, as if it has somehow learned of her choice last night and disapproves. She steps into the kitchen, half expecting Maya to be awake, but the little girl still sleeps, curled up in her worn pink pajamas. Sophia sighs and rubs her temples, the tension from the previous night still knotting her shoulders. It doesn't take long for the first knock at the door. Mrs. Caterine, with her silver hair neatly pinned, stands there, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Sophia, "What on earth were you thinking?" she asks, her voice low, almost trembling with fear rather than anger. "Those men, you gave your last money to a Hell's Angel. A biker gang member. Do you even know what could have happened? You could have been hurt, or worse." Sophia swallows hard, trying to keep her calm. I couldn't leave him," she says softly. He was dying. Her voice catches. She gestures at the empty cabinets behind her. "I had nothing left, Mrs. Caterine. But I couldn't do nothing." Mrs. Caterine shakes her head. "It's reckless. Foolish. You've put yourself in danger, and you didn't think about Maya. People in this neighborhood, they talk. They'll think you're inviting trouble." Sophia nods, even though inside she's seething with doubt. It wasn't supposed to be this way. Kindness wasn't meant to come with judgment. She tries to remind herself that she did what she believed was right, that she saved a life, even at a personal cost. By mid-morning, other neighbors join the chorus. Mr. Rodriguez leans against the railing of his porch, arms folded, frowning. "I heard what happened last night," he says, his voice heavy with concern. "Those bikers, they're known for trouble. My cousin had dealings with them once. Things got ugly fast. Sophia, I'm just telling you, be careful. You might have started something bigger than you realize." Sophia nods again, clutching the small business card that the young man at the gas station gave her. She doesn't understand why she feels a flicker of hope when she looks at it. Something tells me this isn't over. Something tells me that last night wasn't just about a single act of kindness. Fast forward to just past noon. A low rumble begins in the distance. At first, she thinks it's just trucks passing by, but the sound grows louder. A vibration rises through the ground, rattling the window panes. Her stomach tightens. Something doesn't feel right. Then she sees them. One by one, motorcycles appear, snaking down her street like a rolling wall of chrome and leather. Black leather jackets glint in the sunlight. Harley-Davidsons roar in unison, filling the quiet neighborhood with a thunderous presence. Sophia's eyes widen. She counts, fingers trembling. There must be over 100 bikes. Maybe 120. The neighbors panic. Doors slam. Windows are bolted shut. Children cry behind curtains. Someone, somewhere, calls the police. Sirens respond faintly in the distance. Sophia stands frozen in the middle of the street, staring at the sheer scale of what's coming. Her heart pounds in her chest. What did I do? From the front of the formation, a large man steps forward, Rambo. The tattoos on his arms twist under the sunlight like shadows, and his face, though imposing, carries a calm authority. Behind him, his crew shifts, the noise of engines fading into a low, expectant hum. Sophia's knees weaken. She wants to run. She wants to hide. But she doesn't. She steps forward slowly. The neighbors hiss, mutter, retreat further into their houses, unsure if they're watching a parade or a threat. Rambo raises his hand. "Everyone," he calls, voice deep and steady, "we're not here to cause trouble. We're here for Sophia Clark." Whispers ripple through the crowd. Sophia Clark? That's the woman who. The young man from the gas station, Carter, she will later learn, steps forward, holding a folder. "She saved Rambo's life last night," he says. "With her last money. $6. That's it." Silence. Then murmurs of disbelief. Mrs. Caterine steps closer, squinting. "Wait, what? You're thanking her?" "Yes," Rambo says firmly. "Because of what she did, we're here to make things right. But first, let me explain." He gestures, and a few others come forward, distributing flyers and letters to those brave enough to peek outside. "We are Luna's Legacy," Rambo continues. "A non-profit organization founded 20 years ago. In that time, we've helped over 3,000 families. Families who were on the brink, families who had nowhere else to turn. We provide medical assistance, therapy, housing, and emergency support. Everything we do is to honor the memory of my daughter, Luna, who passed from leukemia at the age of 7 because her family couldn't afford treatment in time. Sophia blinks. Her chest tightens. She can hear the collective intake of breath from her neighbors. Mr. Rodriguez is visibly shaking. Wait, my cousin, she received PTSD therapy, through you, he whispers. Yes, Carter confirms. And she's not the only one. We've funded surgeries, prevented foreclosures, helped families stay together. Hundreds of stories just like hers. Sophia swallows, overwhelmed. The fear, the doubt, the late-night questions, all of it washes over her in a wave of relief and disbelief. The man she helped wasn't a random stranger after all. His crew wasn't a gang bent on vengeance. They were a force of good. Rambo steps closer to Sophia. You didn't know who I was, he says softly, eyes meeting hers. You didn't care. You just acted. That's rare. That's the kind of courage and kindness we need in this world. Her neighbors murmur among themselves. Mrs. Caterine, her voice softened, even choked, says, Sophia. I judged you wrong. Other voices join, small apologies offered, hesitant but sincere. The tension in the street begins to lift, replaced by curiosity, admiration, and something resembling awe. Rambo continues, telling them stories, short, piercing vignettes of families helped, children's lives saved, homes kept intact. Each story lands with weight, giving context to the magnitude of Luna's legacy. The skepticism of the neighborhood begins to crumble. And then, Carter hands Sophia a folder containing documentation of the nonprofit's work. Photos of families helped, statistics detailing over 3,000 lives touched, 20 years of consistent, verifiable impact. It's tangible proof of everything Rambo just said. Sophia steps back, still processing. Her eyes prick with tears. All the doubts, the fear, the community judgment, they dissolve in the face of this revelation. What she thought was reckless and dangerous turns out to be a choice that aligns perfectly with the values she's always lived by. Rambo speaks again. We're here not just to thank you, Sophia. We're here to invite you into this mission. Your kindness, your courage, your willingness to act despite fear, it's the same spirit we need to continue helping others. You've already saved lives. Now, let us help you, and together, we can save many more. Sophia's lips tremble. She feels the weight of everything, her poverty, her struggle, her sleepless nights, and simultaneously, the weight lifts. She feels hope, immense and almost dizzying. And for the first time in years, she sees a path forward that isn't just survival. A path where she can thrive while helping others thrive too. Her community watches in stunned silence as the truth settles in, the intimidating figures in black leather, the roar of engines, the suspicion and fear, all of it was a facade for something extraordinary. A mission born of grief, sustained by love, multiplied through generosity. Sophia folds the business card into her palm. Carter had seen her act of kindness last night. That small observation had set all this in motion. And now, Sophia Clark, the woman with worn shoes, empty cabinets, and a heart bigger than her wallet, is on the cusp of a transformation that will touch hundreds of lives. For the first time, she feels it, a sense of purpose, a sense of belonging, a sense of being seen for who she truly is. And it all started with $6. Sophia stands in her small apartment, staring at the folder Carter handed her the day before. Luna's legacy, 3,000 families helped over 20 years. Proof, statistics, photos. The impact is tangible, almost overwhelming. She still can't believe it. She saved a man with $6. And now, that single act has unlocked something she never imagined. A knock at the door interrupts her thoughts. She opens it and sees Rambo himself, standing tall but with a gentle expression. Behind him, a few others from his crew carry packages, boxes, and envelopes. One of them hands her an envelope. For you, Rambo says. Open it. Her hands tremble as she peels it open. Inside is a check, $35,000. $35,000. For immediate needs, bills, groceries, rent, everything she's worried about, everything she's feared she could never cover. Her chest tightens. Tears prick her eyes. She wants to laugh. She wants to cry. She wants to pinch herself and ask if this is real. Then Rambo says, "We also want you with us. As part of Luna's legacy. We're offering you a position as Community Outreach Coordinator. $52,000 a year, full health benefits, and a chance to make a difference for families just like yours." Sophia swallows hard. $52,000. Full health benefits. A career. Not just a handout, but an opportunity to give back. Her life, her daughter's life, the apartment with cracked ceilings and empty cabinets, all of it will change. She feels dizzy, unsteady, and yet, this feels right. Rambo continues. "We've also arranged some things for you immediately. Your car, the one you had to sell a few months ago, has been reclaimed from the impound. Furniture, groceries, supplies, we've got it all covered. And, we're building a community center in your neighborhood. It'll be called Clark House, in your honor." Sophia's knees weaken. She sinks into the nearest chair, stunned. Her hands shake as she tries to process it. Her apartment, her street, her world, they're about to change in ways she never dreamed. Clark House. Named after her. A legacy born from a single act of kindness. Her mind flashes back to last night, to the asphalt, to the $6 in her hand, to the warnings and doubts. All of it, every hardship, every lonely step, every sleepless night, had led to this moment. And then something shifts in her chest. It's not just relief or gratitude. It's a spark of purpose. She looks at Maya, still curled on the couch, and imagines the child growing up in a world where her mother doesn't just survive, but thrives. A world where kindness has power. Rambo leans forward. "We want you to start right away. There's a family in town, struggling. They need help. You'll go today. You'll see what it feels like to extend what you receive to someone else." Sophia swallows. She wasn't expecting this. She thought her role would start later, after training, after orientation. But no. The mission begins immediately. She nods, taking a deep breath. "All right," she says. "I'll do it." By mid-afternoon, Sophia is in her repaired car, following directions to a small house on the outskirts of the city. She arrives to find a young father, his two children, standing outside in worn clothes, the front yard overgrown and neglected. Their eyes widen as she approaches. She introduces herself quietly, explaining that Luna's legacy sent her to help. The father's voice shakes. You're really here? For us?" Sophia smiles, swallowing the lump in her throat. "Yes. We're here to help." She hands over groceries, new clothing, and supplies. She writes checks to cover overdue bills. She helps repair the small porch and even arranges therapy for the children's emotional needs. Every smile, every tear, every expression of relief is a punch to her heart and a balm at the same time. And then she realizes something crucial: the ripple effect has begun. Her single act of kindness, $6 spent, a stranger saved, has multiplied into something far larger. She sees it in the father's eyes, the children's laughter, the relief washing over their faces. She feels it in the grateful nods and the whispered thank yous. This is why she exists. This is why she endured sleepless nights and empty cabinets. When she returns home that evening, Sophia feels a new kind of exhaustion, the kind that comes from purpose rather than worry. She sits on the couch, Maya in her lap, recounting the day in small, excited fragments. The little girl claps her hands. "Mommy, you helped them?" "Yes, baby. We helped them," Sophia says, voice thick with emotion. "And tomorrow, we'll help someone else." Over the next few weeks, Sophia immerses herself in her new role. She visits families, distributes aid, documents stories, and begins to learn the inner workings of Luna's legacy. Every day, the impact becomes more tangible, more real. Families are fed. Homes are saved. Children go to school with new shoes and hope in their eyes. And through it all, Sophia keeps a quiet notebook, jotting down faces, names, small victories, and moments that remind her why she chose to act that night, with nothing but $6 in her pocket. Her community begins to notice the change in her too. Mrs. Caterine nods when they meet on the street, a silent acknowledgement of her courage. Mr. Rodriguez waves, tipping his hat. Even neighbors who whispered doubt start asking questions, curious about the work she's doing, inspired by her example. One afternoon, Sophia receives a call from Rambo. "You've got a meeting tomorrow," he says. "We want you to help plan the opening of Clark House. Families you've already assisted will attend. It'll be a celebration of your journey, and theirs." 6 months later, Sophia Clark hardly recognizes her life. The apartment with cracked ceilings and empty cabinets is gone from her thoughts, replaced by the rhythm of purpose. She wakes each morning with Maya, now more aware of the impact their lives are having beyond their small family. Clark House stands in the heart of the neighborhood, a bright, welcoming building with ramps for wheelchairs, colorful murals, and a sign that reads, "Clark House, a place to give and receive hope." Sophia walks through the doors each day, checking in with families, arranging aid, and listening to stories that make her heart ache and swell at the same time. There's Mr. Sanchez, a father of 3 who lost his job after the factory closed. He now has a stable income thanks to a job referral from Luna's legacy and counseling for the children, who had been struggling in school. There's Mrs. Harper, a widow who had her house saved from foreclosure just days after Sophia delivered emergency funds. And little Jamal, who had been malnourished and struggling to catch up in kindergarten, now thrives, his laughter filling the hallways of Clark House as he shows off his newly painted backpack. Sophia watches all of it, pride settling deep in her chest. But it's not just the families she helped directly. Word has spread online. Videos of Clark House opening, photos of Sophia handing over groceries and school supplies, and clips of Rambo explaining Luna's legacy have gone viral. At first, the comments were skeptical. "Why trust a biker?" someone wrote. "This seems fake," another said. But soon, the tide turned. Thousands praised Sophia and the organization. "Real heroes," one post read. "Proof that kindness can come from anywhere." The online community, like her neighbors, learned to look beyond appearances. And for Sophia, seeing that shift in perception is as rewarding as the work itself. And it keeps growing. Families she's helped share their own stories. Volunteers come forward, eager to join Clark House programs. Children once scared of the world now run freely through the halls, safe, nurtured, and seen. Sophia often returns to the street where it all began, to her old apartment building. She walks past the spot where she once counted $6, imagining Maya asleep inside, and notices Mrs. Caterine watering her small garden. The neighbor's face softens as she waves. "Sophia, I owe you an apology. I judged too quickly." Sophia smiles gently. "It's all right," she says. "Sometimes we don't see the full picture until it unfolds." The true full-circle moment comes 1 year later, on the anniversary of the day she saved Rambo's life. Clark House hosts a celebration with balloons, banners, and families gathered from across the city. Rambo speaks first, recounting the story of how a single act of kindness, $6 spent in a moment of fear and doubt, sparked an unstoppable ripple. Then Sophia steps to the front. Her voice shakes at first, but steadies as she speaks to the crowd. "I never imagined that one choice, one moment, could change so many lives, not just for me, but for all of us. This place, this work, it's proof that kindness doesn't just save a person. It transforms a community." A young father she helped earlier steps forward with his daughter in hand. "Sophia," he says, voice tight, "you changed our lives. You showed us hope when we had none. Thank you." Even Mrs. Caterine volunteers that day, helping serve meals and organize supplies. I understand now, she admits, quietly. I see the difference one act of courage can make. Sophia glances at Maya, who beams with pride, holding a small plaque that reads, "In honor of Sophia Clark, whose courage and kindness remind us all that one person can change the world." The applause is warm, resonant, carrying through the walls of Clark House and out into the neighborhood. Sophia feels a deep, quiet joy, knowing that her journey has come full circle, but also that it doesn't end here. Every day, every act of kindness, every family helped continues the cycle she began with $6, a decision, and a brave heart.